Todd Golden from the University of Florida will be our next coach. Just to make a connection from coach to coach, Todd played on a Maccabi Games team that was coached by Bruce Pearl back in the day, the point guard, as Bruce told me. All good things. He also worked for a period of time with Bruce in the operations area at Auburn University. I have the same pair of sneakers in my closet that Todd's wearing, and I chose not to wear them today. They're incredibly comfortable, the Air Jordans. Todd joined the St. Mary's College basketball program out in the West Coast as a walk-on, started 82 games over his 4-year career. If you know Randy Bennett, the legendary coach at St. Mary's, he describes Golden as a basketball junkie. I also have the word fighter in there, but we try not to promote that too much. But just tough, focused, fierce competitor. After his playing career, he had a short time in the sports media industry, but felt the call into coaching. Since then, he's had just an incredible career, starting in the operations director role at Columbia University in New York City in 2012, becoming head coach at the University of San Francisco, then the head coach at the University of Florida a decade later. His wife, Megan, was a volleyball student athlete at St. Mary's. They have 2 children. Megan was a standout volleyball player. If you know West Coast Volleyball and the West Coast Conference, she was the co-conference freshman of the year back in 2007. Welcome the Gators head men's basketball coach, Todd Golden.
Questions, or you? I'm ready. Yeah,
okay.
Questions.
Let's go to questions. Raise your hand, and we'll get a remote mic to you. Remember to identify yourself and the outlet that you represent when you ask your question. Let's start on the third row on the right.
Hey, Coach. James Fletcher from On3. Just wanted to ask you about the importance of retention with transfers, specifically the guys who you kind of handpick to fill a position of need on your roster, and then being able to get them back where they can kind of become leaders and understand your system more in depth. How important is that to your team's makeup?
Very important for sure for this year's team. For us going from years 2 to 3, one of the advantages that we thought we had going into the offseason was we had some really good young guys in our program. A couple of them were transfers, a couple of them were guys that we signed as high school players. And we really tried to pour into that continuity piece and getting Walter back, getting Will Richard back, and then a couple of our young guys like Alex Condon, Tommy Houck, Denzel Aberdeen. Those 5 specifically created a great nucleus for us, and then we were able to go out and handpick some guys out of the transfer portal that we thought would complete our team. But it all starts with the retention. It all starts with that continuity. And any team that's able to build continuity within their program, I think is going to have a better chance of being successful.
Let's go to the front row here on the right, and then we'll go to the third row, I think, on the left.
Ben Roberts, Lexington Herald Leader. Todd, you had a lot of coaching matchups with Mark Pope out west for a few years there. What was he like to coach against? What do you think he's going to bring to the SEC?
Mark was always great to compete against. I've always thought that Mark's a really, really good coach. From his style of communicating with his players to how they play and how they execute offensively. BYU got a lot better when he got there, and it was always a contested and heated battle when we matched up. Our last time competing against each other, we actually became victorious over them in the WCC tournament, and it kind of gave us the opportunity to make it in the NCAA tournament. But they were always heated, always highly contested, and I think he's going to do an incredible job at Kentucky, to be honest, to get back to his alma mater. Obviously has a lot of pride being back there and has great confidence in understanding what makes Kentucky a really good spot. And, I just think he's a great basketball coach. I think that he's going to have a lot of great success there.
Okay, third row on the left.
Coach Neil Blackman, Saturday Down South. You guys, obviously, you've had some good guards at wherever you've been. How good can this group be? I know you brought in Elijah. I think you'd be better defensively, but as a whole, between Walt and Elijah, Denzel, Will Richard, all those guys, how good can that backcourt be?
Yeah, my belief is that they're going to be really good, really good. Maybe a little unconventional, but you mentioned the 4 main guys. Walt Clayton's first team All-League preseason. We expect him to have a great year for us. I think Will Richard is a guy that, coming into his senior year should have a lot of success. He's going to shoot the ball well. He's gotten a lot better on the defensive end and rebounding. Elijah Martin is a huge addition for us. I think he does a great job of raising the bar for us on a daily basis in terms of our competitiveness, in terms of our belief, and in terms of our confidence. And then Denzel Aberdeen, is a young man that, people that follow our program closely saw him kind of coming on at the end of last year. And I suspect him to have a fantastic year for us. He's been great in camp. He will probably come off the bench for us, but will be a guy that plays a lot of minutes for us. And, we have some other guys in Urban Klavzar and Kaius Kublikis that could potentially help as well. But those 4 guys right now are the ones that are kind of leading the charge, and I would expect them to have really good years.
Next question on the front row on the left.
Hi, Coach. AP said I'm AP and Kelly as we see it. Coach, what does a player from across the ocean, what are some of the attributes they might bring to a college team?
Yeah, we've been big on international recruiting, both at San Francisco and now here at Florida. And, our job is to put together the best roster of 13 guys, and I think in this day and age when everybody has really, really high expectations for what they're able to achieve and what their goals are, kind of balancing that out is really important for having team success. And I think a lot of the international players, they've been a part of team and been a part of program or club for a long time, so they kind of come up in that environment where they understand sacrifice and understand putting the team in front of themselves. And they're coming over to the United States and to college with a specific mission of becoming a better basketball player and getting the resources that we have at our institutions and making their lives better. So I just think a lot of these guys, and not everyone's the same, but a lot of these guys come in really balanced and with a team-first mentality that helps you build out a better team.
Other questions? Raise your hand. Let's go front row on the left.
Ryan Black with the Louisville Courier-Journal. Todd, I wanted to ask, going back to Mark Pope, you've always been very, very open about your embrace of analytics and how you construct your roster, how you play, and Mark Pope obviously has done that a lot with Cody Feger as his top assistant. Yeah. In a way, do you just really see them being like kindred spirits to you in terms of how you just play the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think we think about it similarly, would be my guess. I've never really sat down with Coach Pope and talked to him about it, but just by obviously studying their teams at BYU and seeing how they played and kind of the different things that they executed, they're a smart group for sure, and they're always very efficient. I think they do a good job, understanding the talent within their program and using that to the best of their abilities. This will be a new challenge for him, obviously, coming to a place that he's familiar with, but with a roster that's brand new, and getting those pieces on the same page. But I feel confident that he'll figure it out. Cody's a great coach as well. I've known Cody for a long time. Really smart, probably deserves his own job at this point, to be honest. But he'll help Coach Pope continue to get that program back where it belongs. But I think they're very analytical, and will be interesting to see how they go about building their rosters in the SEC.
Other questions? Let's go to the third row in the middle.
Afternoon, Coach. Brad Harvey from College Sportscast. So you won 24 games last year, and I know you probably don't put a lot into rankings, but you're ranked 21st preseason in the poll yesterday. What does that say about the direction of your program?
Yeah, I think it says that we're on the right track. And as you said, we're not spending a whole lot of time applauding ourselves on being ranked 21st. Like I said, it's a we appreciate the respect that we're receiving from the AP, and it means a lot to us. But unless we're better than that at the end of the year, we're going to think of it as being a disappointing year, right? So, we're using that as a starting point, but we're not satisfied with that being our final ranking. But, now going into year 3, we feel like being ranked there and then having the opportunity to maybe advance in the tournament, if we do what we're capable of, will be the right trajectory for what this program needs and what it deserves. But it's a nice honor, but we're not satisfied with that.
Raise your hand. Let's come to the front row in the middle.
Coach Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. We just talked to Bruce Pearl, and he talked about helping young coaches. I know he's meant a lot to your career. I've watched you coach against him. There's a lot of mutual respect. What has he kind of meant to you?
Well, he didn't help me much in the SEC championship game last year, so we can't give him too much credit for that. But no, listen, I have 3 mentors in this profession: Randy Bennett, who I played for at St. Mary's; Kyle Smith, who I played for and worked for quite a bit; and then obviously Bruce. And without those 3 guys coaching me, leading me, mentoring me, I would have no chance to be where I am today. And honestly, they're unique. Kyle and Randy coach and run their programs one way. Bruce is very different. I try to kind of meet in the middle of that with my own personality involved. But everybody that knows me and kind of knows our family, like knows how close, Bruce, Steven, and I are and how far back we go. And we're always going to be family. I'm grateful for those guys forever.
Raise your hand if you have other questions for Coach Golden. Let's go back to the third row.
I'm on the hot seat here. Alex Condon had one other scholarship offer. It was St. Mary's.
Yeah, and Utah.
Okay, so he had two others. Sorry,
yeah.
Coach. So, and now he's all league. Talk about, what you expect from him as a sophomore, and just, you guys probably weren't surprised, but what he brings.
Yeah, we were a little surprised, I would say, by how productive he was last year. We thought we got a really good player when we signed him and brought him into our program, but we weren't necessarily expecting an all-SEC freshman or a guy that played 20 minutes a game. So I think he outkicked our expectations that way. And this year, listen, it's going to be a big challenge for him. We're building around him and Walter and Elijah and Will. The expectation for him is going to go up a lot. Obviously, he's going to start for us this year, so he's going to be a little higher on the scouting report than he was last year. And, that jump from a freshman to sophomore year, generally guys improve a lot, but at the same time, we're asking a lot more out of him. So, for me, my expectation is simple. Like, I just expect him to play his tail off every night. That was one of the things that made him so unique last year, was how competitive he was as a freshman. And I'm not necessarily worried about how many points he scores or how, what his field goal percentage is. As long as he's playing winning basketball for us and, competing his tail off every night like he does, he's going to be just fine. And he's a guy that I'm not sure I'm going to put a timetable on it, but I'm pretty confident he's going to be playing at that next level at some point.
Raise your hand. Other questions for Coach Golden? Okay, let's go to the far right on third row.
Yeah, Coach. Talking to people just around basketball about your program, they've kind of described how well you guys develop and identify big men. And I know you can't get too much into how you guys do that, but how much do you rely on the analytics when you're finding the right fit in your front court?
I would say kind of our data analysis is a large portion, but definitely not all of what we do in terms of our evaluation of players. A lot of times it's what points us in the direction of a specific player, but then we got to learn a lot more about them as a person before we bring them into our program. So to do a better job answering your question, it's a big part. It usually helps us identify which guys we want to go after, whether it's in the portal or whether it's high school guys. But then we kind of drill down on some other aspects that are really important just to our culture in terms of making sure they align with our staff and our players as we move forward.
Other questions? If you raise your hand for Coach Golden. Last call. All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.